Hi, keep it folks, I'm Pete58 with Shadow the Hedgehog, and today we're doing a movie review of Manos, The Hands of Fate, considered the worst movie of all time in the history of movies. Well, let's do our review, and I've got some special Manos-related information at the end of the review. I hope you'll stay tuned and hear that, because it's a lot of interesting and important stuff. Now, let's get started. Now, Manos, the worst film on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 0. So basically, when you're 0 at Rotten Tomatoes, that means you're the worst movie ever made. However, I did notice there's 19%. It says on the corner, at the bottom corner, 19% people liked it. So I don't know. I mean, I like Rotten Tomatoes, but they don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But I just wanted to point that out. But anyway, now let's start at the beginning, where we get an open scenery, lots of scenery of Texas. That's how the movie starts. We get the title, and we just tons of scenery. You know, the reason why we get nothing but scenery and muffled dialogue is because they were supposed to be opening credits, but budget constraints just, you know, didn't make it happen. And so we get 10 minutes of El Paso. It's, you know, if you're into, you know, family vacations videos, hey, you know, it's great opening credits. After where it was supposed to be the opening credits, we meet the sheriff and the kissing couple. The sheriff utters the now famous and hilarious line, "Whatever you're not doing, don't do it somewhere else." It's probably the most famous, one of the most famous movies, you know, in history, I think. You know, it's, you know, I think it's up there with, you know, "Play it again for me, son." You know, that's, you know, I think some people might not know that line, but, you know, I think a good amount of people would, you know. Now, the girl that was kissing the boyfriend, she was originally one of the master's wives, but during a catfight scene, or the practice for one, she broke her ankle, and it got so bad she was going to sue Hal Warren, the dad, the director, star, and of all this. He was, I guess, going to take her out of the film, and she threatened to sue and say, well, we'll keep you in, and we'll just have you sit in a car so nobody will see this cast on your foot. I'm surprised he took that much trouble to keep that out, because there were just a lot of problems with this movie. If you don't know that, then I don't know. I mean, it's obvious as soon as the movie starts there was problems. The audio, they recorded it all afterwards. Excuse me. I mean, it was all done weeks later in a studio in Dallas. But yeah, it's bad. It is bad for, you know, the most part, the audio and the movie. But anyway, let's continue. Now, some critics do call it the worst movie ever made, and then they'll say a lot of weird stuff, because we meet Torgo next, and I've heard a few critics call Torgo the hero. I don't know. You know, as you watch the movie go along, I don't know how heroic Torgo is. I mean, there's one point when he's like, well, I'll help the family get out, and I don't know. It's, you know, that's about as, you know, heroic as he kind of acts. The family gets lost on this vacation, and they find this, I guess, this lodge. And that's not the Valley Lodge that they're looking for. It's just, you know, like this house or a hotel or something. And they see Torgo just standing there. They pull up, and, you know, they're kind of like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, everyone's kind of like, I mean, the music's, you know, the music's cool. It's very creepy music. I mean, it's, you know, if you heard this music, you'd be freaked out. You know, just take out the movie and just put the music, you know, it's kind of creepy. And, you know, they see this man goat, played by John Reynolds. It's supposed to be a satyr. He's wearing this costume under his jumpsuit. It was made from wire hangers and some kind of tubing. He wore it upside down, which is probably why it looks so awkward when he walks. I guess he was supposed to walk more like a goat originally, but he had it on backwards or upside down, and it caused him a lot of discomfort, and it was very hard for him to walk. But, you know, he was an actor, so he stuck with it. You know, he stuck with his craft. He didn't, you know, complain. He just did it. Now, when they arrive, you know, the mom's kind of freaked out, and the dad, you know, I don't know, he's kind of touch and go. He's not the, you know, a good dad or husband, as far as I can tell so far, because he's, you know, he's trying to say, it'll be okay if we chill here. It's fine, you know. And Torgo's like, well, no, the master wouldn't approve. And he's like, no, the master's fine with it. Yeah, you know. I mean, he just meets this creepy weird dude telling him, you know, the master wouldn't approve. And, you know, he's like, nah, it's fine, it's fine. Now we get a long, boring scene after that of luggage moving. There's a little bit of that in this movie. And as the luggage is being moved, Mom and Dad, they see a painting of the master. And they talk for, you know, a moment or so, and then they just stare at it. And then you see all the hand sculptures, which were done by the master in real life. These were real sculptures he had made. He was a real artist. And everything you see, the furniture, the artwork, the paintings, the sculptures, it's all from the Neyman household. That was all their stuff. The costumes were designed by Debbie's mom, the master's actual wife in real life. She designed all the costumes. So everything you're seeing, it's, you know, it's real stuff. These aren't, I mean, they're props, but they were these were things that were made, you know, with a lot of care. You know, this wasn't Hal that made this stuff. It was, you know, the real actor and his family that made this stuff. Now, as we stare at this stuff, Torgo finally speaks and informs him that, you know, the master likes you, Maggie, and you know, it's creepy. Everything is moving along creepy, and the dad's just like, oh, you know, kind of smiles at the daughter who's playing with the dog. Now, slowly, the plot does move along. There's a weird howling, and the dog, Peppy, they have a family dog, little black French poodle, named Peppy, who hears the howling and just, you know, runs right out of the house or wherever they're at into the desert, and the dog gets killed. You know, it's just this this music, and the dad's just like, oh. Bear in mind, Hal is a fertilizer salesman and an insurance salesman, but I'm betting he made that face in real life, you know, selling fertilizer, you know, because he just like, oh, you know, like he stepped in, you know, Peppy's shit, not found a dead family dog, you know. You know, that's, hey, if that's what it takes to get this plot moving, okay, because, you know, this movie does drag. You know, I don't know really what to say, that, you know, yet to make you want to watch it. But while Dad's, you know, tending to the dead dog, we see Torgo sexually, I guess, harass Mom or assault. I don't know what you call it. I don't mean to be glib about sexual harassment, but this is probably the funniest scene of sexual harassment ever filmed in the history of cinema. You can't help but laugh at the slap she gives him. It's just, you know, it's so like, ugh. And then she's like, don't you ever try that again, you beast. I mean, the one thing I give credit for is that, you know, yeah, he's acting beastly, but Jesus Christ, just punch him. You know, I mean, I know it's the 60s, but come on, you know, just, you know, ugh. You know, because she's got a young daughter, and, you know, some dude's trying to grope her with some weird legs. You know, I'm willing to bet any woman would probably ball up a fist and, you know, punch him in the, you know, shit. But, you know, it's, you can't help but laugh at it. Dad comes back. Mom doesn't say anything, so, you know, don't want to make the plot move too fast. And he realizes, you know, that they're going to have to try and get out of there, but the car is stuck. And so they are stuck at this place for the night, and, you know, there's no phone, and it's the 60s, so that's all you got. There's no, yeah, there's no smartphone. They're just stuck out there in the middle of the desert, you know, so, you know, they're stuck there for the night. So, you know, and you're afraid, like, oh my God, what's, you know, you're waiting for something to happen still, but nothing really happens. Debbie vanishes, the little girl. She does vanish, and the parents, I wouldn't say so much as look for her, as kind of glance around for her, and then stand on the porch for a moment with the flashlight, sort of befuddled, you know, maybe befuddled in their own ineptitude. I don't know. It's, you know, they don't seem to put too much effort into looking for her. You know, no parent would just. I mean, yeah, mom's a little upset, and dad's just like, well, we'll find her. We'll find her. Yeah, you'll find her. I guess. I don't know. That's about as he's about as emotional about that as he is about the dog getting eaten. Just kind of like, oh, damn it! How do you let the fucking dog out again? Well, fortunately, Debbie doesn't get eaten by any animal. She comes back a moment later, and we see her not carrying a dog. She's being led by a dog, a big Doberman. It's from the painting. There was a Doberman, and she's leading it, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's the dog from the painting! Get away, Debbie!" And and the dog runs away, and they're like, what happened? Where did you go? And she takes them to this place. It's a tomb. It's just a couple of columns and a stone slab. I think it originally used to be some kind of courthouse. I don't know. If you want to know more, purchase this book. It's excellent. It's written by Jackey Neyman-Jones. The little girl. She's not a little girl anymore. She's a beautiful woman. And Laura Mazuka-Toops, another beautiful, smart woman. Both smart women, very talented. They both got together and wrote this book. And also, there's a foreword by Joel Hodgson. If you're an MST3K fan, if you're watching this video, I'm sure there's a good chance you are. Get this book. It's excellent. I got a link to the description below on where it's at on Amazon. It's perfect. You can get an E format or the old-fashioned way, hard format. Hard. Anyway. So we find the temple, and this is where the first time we get to see Manos, or the Master, and his wives. They're all sleeping, or perhaps comatose from the first half of the movie, because we are about halfway through the movie now. And they're all sleeping, and so they get the hell out of there. That's probably the only smart thing they do in the entire movie, is get the hell out of there. Unfortunately, they just go back to that lodge place that they came across. And, the dad locks mom and the little girl in the bedroom, and he says, I'm going to get Torgo. He's got some explaining to do, young man. That's the kind of feeling I get from Dad, He's more concerned with Torgo's wives, and these tied up women, than he is about his own wife, and his daughter. He's got some explaining to do. Torgo informed him at an earlier point in the movie that there's a phone like 10 miles away. I think in this situation, I'd risk walking to 10 miles. You walk 4 miles an hour if you take your time. A 2-hour walk, is probably a lot safer in the desert than these fucking people, but hey, that's just me. But, so Dad locks his wife and daughter in the room, goes off into the desert looking for Torgo, I guess. We then find Torgo. He's gone to the tomb now himself to do some more sexual harassment, this time of one of the Master's wives. He kind of gropes her torso, and he's all filled with this rage because he starts ranting and raving. He's like, I want my own wives. You have wives. Creepy stuff. It's kind of creepy. I don't think Torgo is a hero, but I think he's a pretty interesting character. He's got that, that creepiness vibe with that walk. He's got the stick, the weird, the old clothes, It's a guy you might be kind of freaked out by if you see. So after he's done groping one of the Master's wives, who are all still asleep, he peeps in on Maggie, who's undressing, and, then, she briefly turns around, but she doesn't see it happening, and then Torgo goes and, runs off and takes his staff and bashes Dad in the back of the head with it, and then slowly ties him up. And you watch that all in real time. So it takes him about 2 minutes to get it done. That's why I'm so surprised that, Mr. Warren, Hal Warren would, he took time to make sure the girl in the car's cast wasn't seen, but he's going to film 2 minutes of, Torgo tying some guy up. I mean, this camera that they used only took, I think 2 minutes, 7 minutes, I think, of film before they had to start over again. He took 2 minutes just watching this guy. I mean, you get the idea right away. He's getting tied up. The director was really inept at certain points, and, well, at most points, all points. It surprises me. The part with the cast, he worries about, but I don't know. It's just, watching somebody getting tied up in real time, and it's not a pornographic film. You know, that's what you're going to see here. Now, we finally get... So this is where the movie, in my opinion, is good. The master arises. It gets really exciting. He just gets up, and then we go back to the sheriff and the kissing couple again. God damn it! You know, they keep showing this couple, I guess to remind us that there's a world out there. I don't know if that's a tease that that you're watching this, because it's like, oh, there's other people. Great, we get to see their boring lives. But it goes to that. Then we go right back to the master again. He's played by Tom Neyman, the father of the little girl in real life. And now I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, this guy is he's a great actor. He passed away a few months ago, unfortunately, but in this movie, he shines. I think he's a good actor. I think he's great. In this movie, excuse me, it's such a hindrance on him, on his performance, because if you put him, this character that he plays, and you put him with just some kind of better director, or something, I think people would have loved it. I mean, he has that foreboding presence. He has those eyes. A few months ago, I did some movie reviews. One of Hero and the Terror, and what was the other one? Oh, Children of the Corn Genesis. Billy Drago, that actor, he was in them, and he's got that presence. That's what Tom Neyman has. He has that. He had that presence. Before Manos, he did Henry IV. If you don't know Henry IV, it's where this guy thinks he's the king, Henry IV. I would have loved to have seen him play that. I think it would have been fantastic. Because if you just forget all the bad stuff about this movie, forget about the bad lighting, the bad audio, forget about all that dumb shit, and just kind of focus on this, performance, given, by Tom Neyman. It's so, I don't mean to, play on words, but it's masterful. I mean, the reason why it's so great, why he's so good at this role, is because before he was acting and doing his art thing, he was studying to become a minister. He wanted to, give sermons and stuff. And so he knew how to, really to deliver. When you go to church, and you see some of these ministers, they gotta, kind of do a performance of their art or of their prayers. And Tom Neyman, he just took that and he went with, with the master on this, and it really shines. If you could just, if you're not into watching this movie, you really got to check out just the scenes that he's in, where he just gives this gothic speech, oh Manos, thou of primal darkness, thou who dwelleth in the depths of the universe and the black chasms of night, thou who bestoweth the mother darkness upon thy faithful to live eternally in her keeping. I mean, it's great. It's great. I mean, any other movie, you'd be blown away, shitting your pants and hiding under the covers. I mean, those eyes, the way he looks. I mean, it's like I said, masterful performance. I mean, who better than someone who was training to be a minister to learn to deliver on the pulpit than to, just give this gothic speech of fucking darkness and, and eternal keeping, it's astounding. I mean, he's a great artist as well. A lot of the hand stuff, you see, those sculptures, he designed them himself. He was a great artist. Now, out of this book, I'm going to read a short quote about his artwork and why, maybe he was destined for this role, because I'm going to read it right here. This was from the El Paso Herald, dated March 5th, 1969, and this describes the master's artwork. A multi-talented Tom Neyman is creative on stage with paint, metal, and plaster. Of all his visual art, I like his hand sculpting best. For here, what the artist reaches for, seeks to clasp, strikes out against, and clutches despairingly, is told in a remarkable series of human hands, which are anything only too full of grace. I mean, this man had a spirit, and, he says later on in the movie, I am permanent. Yes, he is. I mean, forget that this is the worst movie ever made. This is the worst movie ever made with probably the best performance you're ever going to get in you know, and probably in a lot of movies. I mean, this was great. You know, if it's just so epic. Yeah, you know, I mean, the goddamn bad because she was really good. I mean, you know, you get this sense of, it's like, wow, man, this guy is the real deal. He's gonna, you know, tear some shit up if he has to. But you know, with this movie, you know, it kind of, oh god, it kind of strains in the character. Now, originally, from what I had read, he wasn't supposed to have any lines. I think he was just kind of supposed to stand around, kind of, you know, brooding. And because he's such a great artist, you know, he was like, well, you know, let's put some lines in there. Let's, you know, do it like I'm delivering a sermon. And he did it. I think he did it really damn great. I don't think, you know, I don't think it's fair he got stuck with this one movie. You know, I think if he had, you know, if we could have filmed Henry IV, I think we would have been blown away. I mean, but I'm just ranting and raving, but I'm serious. I mean, it's just, I think it's a good performance what he does. Now, anyway, get back on track here. The master makes his wives arise, and then they start arguing about their new arrivals. Take note that they're all scantily clad, wearing bra and panties and just kind of like this, I guess, chiffon, see-through kind of gown over it with the red sash. The red sash all this was made by the master's real-life wife. She designed all the costumes, including the hand gown. Yeah, they included the sash to keep it modest, because a lot of the models from the modeling school that played the wives, they weren't too hip on this. It was 1966, and just, you know, dancing around in your underwear or fighting in your underwear, it just hadn't picked up yet, you know. It's, you know, not at least until the 1980s, you know, well, with Reagan and the Rubik's Cube and all, you know. So the you know, the nightgown wrestling was kind of a turnoff for some of these girls, you know, but they said, okay, you can, they wore the granny panties, and they got the sash, so, you know, that was about as modest as they could get to meet in the middle, because Hal was kind of reluctant, as you can imagine, because, you know, I think he had some kind of weird sexual fantasy, you know, all set up for this, because, quick footnote, Mom, Maggie, when she was asked to do the role, she brought along her mom, and while her mom waited in the other room, she met with Hal behind closed doors, and Hal said, "I'll take your shirt off." Diane starts freaking out. She's like, "Ah!" And her mom comes running in. It's like, "What's going on?" And, you know, he's like, "Oh, nothing." Hal says, "You know, it's just a test. You got the part. Congratulations." Now, that was the only time something had happened of that nature, but hey, who knows what that means? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. You know, but that was something that did happen. It, you know, it was the only really sleazy thing to have happened, but it did happen. So, you know, take that for what you will. Now, anyway, back to it. The wives start arguing about what to do with the new arrivals. Masters lays down the law. He says, "We're just going to kill them all. We'll, kill them." You know, he's laying down the law. That's what he does. Now, even though the master walks away and kind of settles it, the women are still bickering about it. They don't like that there's a little girl. They don't want to kill her. And they say, well, she'll grow up to be a woman. Then she can be the master's wife. Kind of back and forth. And then they start doing the wrestling thing. This is probably the biggest highlight of the movie for most people, is to see this nightgown wrestling. Now, excuse me. I first saw Manos, The Hands of Fate, in 1993. I was I was about 13 or 14 when I saw it, and seeing women in their bra and panties wrestling appealed very much to me. You know, I have a fetish for seeing women in their underwear, especially, you know, if they're, you know, wrestling, I guess. You know, and when you're 14 and you're watching this, it's just, you know, it's, hey, you know, it appeals, you know, it's great. So I kind of got a kick out of that, and the jazzy sound, you know, it's like, yeah, the music's kind of upbeat, you know, the music's probably one of the few things that's good in this movie. But it, you know, it's it's funny. After that, we see the master confront Torgo in the longest, most awkward scene in the movie so far. Tension really builds, you know, and the Master seems like he's ready to about to lay the smackdown on old Torgo. Gets real tense, close up, you know, eyes, and then just it fizzles out, and he starts, you know, laughing. And then we get to another scene where there's some reverse sexual harassment. One of the Master's wives decides to sexually assault Dad while he's tied up, licks him and slaps him and all that. And hey, you know, whatever works for you. You know, so I'm saying, I'm wondering what, you know, what Hal's, you know, motive was for all this movie. You know, now I don't, you know, I don't know why it was even filmed. It just, you know, she just, you know, they're just groping and licking him. There's no dialogue. It's just, you know, just that. Well, we return back to more nightgown wrestling, and then the Master arrives, and, you know, with Torgo in tow, and stops the fighting, and they sacrifice Torgo to a massage before the Master burns his hands off, or his one hand off, and Torgo runs off into the night to do whatever a Torgo does at night in the desert. Well, anyway, Dad wakes up, and he goes back to the house to protect his family. It's a dull, stupid scene that'll cause constipation if you watch it more than once in a sitting. But we get to go back to the tomb, and we hear the great scene, another great scene with Tom Neyman. You know, the wife says, "Your power has failed you," and he's like, "I am permanent." Great line, epic. I just love this movie. I do. I can't help it. But anyway. Now, it's, you know, he, despite the bad makeup and, you know, for once in this movie, the only time the lighting actually works is when he's, you know, beating his wife. You know, the makeup is really bad, but it's a great scene. You know, it really is. You know, it can't be beaten anyway. Now, the last 10 minutes of the movie is just, it's Mom and Dad trying to walk and breathe at the same time. It's just, you know, a lot of, it's like the bad, you know, 80s Jason movie where the chick, you know, Jason walks slow and this chick's running but she keeps falling and breaks her ankles. Yeah, it's just a lot of that. We finally get back to the house. They're confronted by the Master himself, and after a quick out-of-focus standoff, we're in another scene with these two women driving somewhere. They're on vacation. They find this lodge place, and they meet Mike, who is the new Torgo. And, you know, Torgo's original line in the beginning, "I take care of the place while the Master is away." We get some end credits, and then the end with a question mark. No, it wasn't the end. There is a sequel coming. I don't know when it's being released. The filming has been done. The Master, it was his final role. He died not long after filming was done, so he is in it. The little girl, Debbie, who is now a woman, she is in it as well. It's directed by Tanya Atomic. You should really check out her stuff. She's a very good director. This is going to be better than, you know, the original. This isn't, you know, some fertilizer salesman trying to make a buck and see a woman in her bra and panties. This is a real artist. There's also a prequel coming out. I can't find out very much information. I do have a link to a Facebook page in relation. It's called The Rise of Torgo. I can't find anything else out about it. There's an IMDb listing, but I'm not sure if it's related to this or it's another project with the same name. Because anybody, well, at least for now, can do anything with Manos that they want and profit from it. There's actually something going on right now. The son of Hal Warren, the director, Joe Warren, is trying to put a copyright on this film. You see, back in '66, Hal didn't do that. So that meant it was copyright free. Anybody could show this movie, anybody could do whatever they want to it. It means it's free. And everybody's embraced that. The little girl, Debbie, who's now grown up, you know, she's embraced that. A lot of people have that were originally involved in the film. However, Joe, who wasn't even born yet, has decided he's going to try and stop people from making money off of it. Even though his dad failed to do the right thing by putting a copyright, he is now trying to do that exact thing. Now, I've got a link below. It's a GoFundMe site to help, Debbie fight this. You know, to keep Manos free. I put a link in the description below. If you're a Manos fan and you really believe in Manos, I urge you to check this out. You need to go there and you need to help. Try to donate whatever you can. If you can't donate, spread the word. Remember, hashtag keep Manos free. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about briefly was suicide prevention. Torgo, John Reynolds, this was his last thing he ever did, was play Torgo. Unfortunately, he was very heavily depressed. His friend, the Master, they were friends in real life. They were both actors and they were both friends. Tom Neyman, he would try and help him. He would try and get him out of his rut. But unfortunately, in October of 1966, John took his life. And, you know, it's tragic because it's a shame he couldn't live and see all this. You know, I think this would have vindicated him. You know, it's a tragic thing, suicide. And not just for when, you know, you're a movie star or a B-movie star. It's for anybody. So I've included a link to a suicide prevention hotline. If you know anybody that's having these kinds of problems, you know, with suicide, please help them. You know, I think it's sad that suicide. Obviously, of course, it's sad. But you know, I could say a lot about it. But you know, please go check out this site, especially if you or you know someone who's having these kinds of problems. And one quick last thing before I go. There is a documentary that was made in 2004 called Hotel Torgo. It falsely claims that the last living member of Manos is in this film. That isn't true, but it's all done in tongue-in-cheek fashion, so you kind of have to laugh with that. But it's a very good documentary. It's called Hotel Torgo. I've included a link to that as well. I really think you should check that out, and check out all these sites. I've included links to, if you want to watch the movie Manos, you can purchase it on Blu-ray. You can get, you know, just the movie. There's also the Rift versions I've included. There's one from RiffTrax and MST3K. Both are hilarious. So, you know, if you find it too difficult to watch the movie, you know, I understand. There are Rift versions that help it along. I implore you to, you know, to watch them all. Give it a try. I understand that they say Manos is the worst movie ever made, but I don't think it is. You ever seen a Coleman Francis? His movies are 20,000 times worse than this movie. Plan 9 from Outer Space is a lot worse than this movie. Now, I'm not saying Ed Wood is a worse director than Hal Warren. I'm just saying Plan 9 from Outer Space is a worse movie than Manos. I don't think Manos deserves to be called the worst movie ever made. I really don't. It's a bad movie, yes. It's a B movie, yes. But have you ever seen The Mixed Up Creatures Who Died? You know the goddamn title if you're a Misty fan. Have you ever seen that movie? That is 20 trillion times worse than Nightgown Wrestling. Okay? Red Zone Cuba is 11 billion times worse. No, 11 gajillion times worse than Manos. Okay? I will take that epic speech from Tom Neyman any day over anything by Coleman Francis or anything doing with Anthony Cardoza. You know, those guys were horrible. You know, none of them ever had good actors in their films. Manos had a pair of good actors, and Tom was great. He was a great actor. I think Torgo was good in this movie. I understand, you know, there's a funniness and creepiness to it, but I still thought it was a good creepiness vibe to it. This movie's supposed to be dark. You know, it's a dark ending. You know, I just gave you a brief rundown of the movie. You should just see it. You know, I didn't give you too many spoilers. I mean, it's kind of, it's a bad movie, you know, spoiler is what it is, but seriously, check that out. I mean, at least the RiffTrax version or something, you know, or I think it's on YouTube, you can check it out. But anyway, that's my review. It's a bad movie, but not the worst ever. I enjoy this movie, not just for the Nightgown Wrestling, you know, which appealed to my puberty growing, you know, when I was a kid when I first saw this movie. So, you know, I think the performance by the Master is great, and Torgo's as well. So, you know, what do you think, Shadow? It's a good movie. Yeah, see, I mean, Shadow agrees, you know, and this guy sucks. Fuck you. Anyway, you know, if you, like this video, please spin dash that like and sub button and share it. And my book, The Time Rippers Book 2, is available on Amazon.com. And my first book is available for free on the Internet Archive. So check out those links if you like to read sci-fi and time travel. It's for you. Shadow, are you ready to spin dash us out? Yep. Alrighty. Hi, Kiba.